Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, depending on what part of the world you are watching from. This is the West Ham Network, and I am bringing to you today's David Moyes press conference in association with our good friends over at kumb.com. Knees Up Mother Brown. Get across there, check them out as well, give them as much support as you possibly can. Fantastic forum as well from fans all over the world. Good debates, good banter, and of course, we're all West Ham, so why not get yourself across there? Anyway, I am here today to bring to you the David Moyes presser. Yes, he's been a busy man. We've got Man City tomorrow evening. Yes, it's going to be a big feat. Go and check out my show about how do West Ham stop Erling Haaland. I don't know. I mean, David Moyes talks about it in his press conference. It's going to be a mean feat, but do you know what? You can only play what's in front of you, and you can only deal with what's in front of you. And we just got to hope that we don't bow or bend over backwards to allow Man City to take the game to us, because that's my biggest concern for the game ahead. Anyway, I want to bring to you some of the things that were spoken about during the press conference, so let me get started. The first thing he was asked today was about team news, of course, and as you would have seen last night when I did the show on Kurt Zouma, there was some good news for Kurt Zouma, but maybe not for this game. Of course not for this game. So he was asked about team news. He says there's not much difference. Kurt Zouma is the biggest fear. We think he might be out for a couple of weeks, but we are still assessing his ankle at the moment. I wouldn't want to say how long. Kurt is incredibly good at getting himself fit and back to it. I'm hoping he'll be fine to play in a couple of weeks, and there's rumours already saying that he could be available for the game against AZ Alkmaar for the away leg. Now, he does have a long-lasting history of getting himself back fit very quickly, but also has a long history of getting himself injured as well. So it'll be nice to be able to see if we can have some form of consistency without him picking up a bit of an injury. This one was an ankle one, obviously, so that's a bit different to the problem that we all think that there is with his knee. But that is a bit of a boost for West Ham season, not necessarily coming into the game against Manchester City. What will he do in the back line? Will he pack up the defence? Will he pack up the midfield to try and deal with this onslaught of Man City who go forward? They haven't been playing fantastic football, but they still know how to put the ball in the back of the net, and that is what we need to watch when we do play them, of course. Next up, he was asked about Man City themselves. He said, we've got a lot of big games coming up, and we'll approach Manchester City the same way we would with any other team. We've been to Manchester a lot, and the games have been very close. The Premier League has had some incredible seasons, and you look at Sir Alex's teams and the rise of Man City as well. To say this is the best team would be unkind to the others, but they are certainly one of the best teams, if not the best, and they're a phenomenal team. You know, you talk about Haaland and you talk about De Bruyne, but you don't mention any of the other players, even players that people sometimes have forgotten. Mahrez of the world, who come in and bang in goals for the club. You know, Jack Grealish took his while to get going, but he's going again. Phil Foden, and I'm just only touching the iceberg, the edges of the iceberg, really, of what they've got in their midst, and it's going to be a mean feat for any team to do it. But I did talk to you about how Brentford's style of play against Man City did cause them problems and did cause them concerns. And it's about how you manage two particular players in a team. Not just, you have to obviously focus on all of them, but what you do with a Haaland and what you do with a De Bruyne. But De Bruyne might be missing the game, of course, as well. But we'll keep an eye out for the preview, where I'll be discussing that in a little bit more detail. He was asked, though, about Haaland, and he said, I don't think anybody knows the answer of how you can stop a Haaland. I think he is the icing on the cake for them. They have so many good players. I think they have a good enough team where they can give the player finishes with his head, his feet. He's got all the attributes to be a top striker. He's got the team behind him, and he really, really does. He's a phenomenal player. The best basic footballer I've ever saw in my life, genuinely, as far as I could say. He knows how to make runs, perfect timing. He knows how to use his strength to the best of his ability, and he knows how to find the back of the net. He hits a power shot, a bit like Julian Dix-esque when he smashes that ball towards the goal. The man is a machine, but we need to be able to learn how to deal with Erling Haaland as well. He then went on and spoke about fitness, because the energy levels against Crystal Palace were not where we needed them to be. He said, I didn't expect our energy levels on Saturday were going to be low, and they showed that. They will have somewhere in their journey where their energy levels are lower than normal, and that certainly was abundant against Crystal Palace, but we need to get over that, especially coming into this game against Man City. You cannot focus on this game against Man City and be below par, below energy. It's not going to be good for West Ham if that does happen. So fingers crossed the players are back, firing fit and feeling ready for this game as well. David Moyes was then asked about managers and, you know, clubs standing by their managers, and he actually went on and he said, probably from where I come from. I'm a manager and I want to stand up for managers. It's a big part of the game now. Managers are losing their jobs much quicker now. All the managers coming in, I'm wishing them good luck. If you're going to keep chopping and changing, I'm not sure it's the right thing for football clubs. I'm not here to speak about other clubs because they know what they do. And as a manager, you need to support. You will have had bad times when you do. You need the club behind you. And this is where I come across like I'm a conflicting point of view because I don't really know where I'm at. I am thinking that a change for West Ham is what needed in the summer. I can't deny that whatsoever. I can't, I don't want to see the same style of football. I don't want to be battling for relegation. And I wonder if we do click into gear, then, I wonder if this is why Moyes has gone on this consolidation approach rather than go at them. I think he probably played on a lot of the transitional year at the earlier part of the season, but it got to the point where it got squeaky bum time, so he had to play like a relegation team and try and drip feed some points to safety. And I wonder if things would have changed if we had picked up a lot more points earlier in the season, and we could have saw a little bit more of a flamboyant style as well. But who am I to make that judgment and to predict what the right and wrong thing is for the club? But put your comments in and let me know your thoughts on what he, of course, said there. He was asked about the free hit. You always talk about a free hit. He says there's a big battle at the bottom end of the league, and we will certainly put in the best performance we possibly can. I think people underestimate when you play against a team like Manchester City, what clubs will turn up and do. I certainly don't ever think West Ham or the players set up to be defeated. And if they were, they would get absolutely torn to shreds. People travel, spend a lot of money to go to these games, and the players cannot do that. I get pissed off when we do sometimes look like we hand the result to the opposition. We did it against Man City pre-COVID, and it really, really frustrated the living daylights out of me. And sometimes you think, come on, go at the teams as well. But I worry about going at the teams that's maybe not necessarily the right thing to do either, because they sometimes like that. There is really no best way to play against them. But the only thing I go by is how Brentford dealt with Man City when they played them back in November. Like they were a different beast back in November, but essentially, they gave Haaland more room to move. They sat in a deeper line. Haaland likes running in behind and in between the defenders from a high line up the field. So I don't think West Ham are going to play in a high line against Man City at the Etihad, because that is what Haaland feeds into as well. So I think there's a specific style you need to play against them, and I hopefully think and pray that David Moyes is going to use his tactics and savvy to be able to deal with it. He was asked about VAR. West Ham have had quite a few issues go against them, and as of late, he said, I actually don't know where VAR can intervene and when it can. More importantly, I think that they were going to use that they weren't going to give us off penalty kicks, and for most of the season they have carried it out, but they're beginning to come back in. Yes, I would have to say that hopefully we hope it doesn't all go one way and decisions go in your favour. To be really honest with you, I've lost kind of faith in what VAR is. I've lost faith all since it's been around, but I've lost all understanding really of some of the most basic rules of football. I've never understood why certain things like VAR and handballs. I don't actually understand the handball rule, if I'm being brutally honest with you. When I look at that situation with Thiago and Liverpool a couple of weeks ago, I don't understand the penalty decision where it was given against West Ham when a Gerd supposedly pulled the player down in the box. Like, I think sometimes there's some really common sense decisions that need to be made, and the VAR has heightened the pressure of even the most basic decision, and it is going and ruining football. Whether you're a West Ham fan or whether you're a neutral fan or whether you're a Man City fan, no matter what, I don't think many people are particularly pleased with the decision about how VAR is being used and who's managing the situation with VAR. So put your comments in and let me know your thoughts on that as well. He was then asked about 2023's form. He said, since the World Cup, our run has been a lot better. The players have been trying to get back to it and have done a good job. A week ago, we had probably one of our best weeks of the season, and we're trying to get back to that. And it's true, we did. We felt like there was a little bit turning the corner, and then suddenly we got two back-to-back defeats, Liverpool and Crystal Palace, and that's really knocked us for 6. And now we've got a bit of a crazy run in, and we've, thank God that some of the teams around us have struggled as of late, which has kept us, 4 points adrift. But if you can do something against Man City, I mean, if you can draw or you can win that game, then if you win the game, we're not mathematically safe, but we're safe. If you draw the game, then you go 6 points ahead of all your opposition, and your goal difference is dramatically different. So that is like a point. That's like 7 points with 4 games to go. you know, you would hope at that point you were safe as well. But who knows? Leave it in the comments again and let me know. Then Moyes spoke about, lastly, the run-in before the embargo section, which we will be bringing you some embargo David Moyes press conference section coming into the members option as well. So if you're interested, go into the membership, click on it. You can join it for a small fee per month, and we do bring you some exclusive content that goes out onto the members as well. But it always says every game is important. There's a battle at the bottom of the league, and we have to go out there and give the best performance we can. And I swear to God, they better turn up and give us the best performance they possibly can do, because we will be frustrated if they do not. And I'm confident that they're going to turn up and try and do something, but I think it's going to have to be a tactician mastermind by David Moyes to be able to get something from this game against Man City at the Etihad. Anyway, short and sweet for you. There's your David Moyes press conference. We are assessing the player. Kurt Zouma will not be back for Man City, probably not back for the semi-final first leg for AZ Alkmaar, but he should be back in for the run-in. Touch wood, fingers crossed. Hopefully he does. This is in association with KUMB.com. Make sure you do go and check them out. Thank you very much for watching. And of course, come on, you Irons.